Hi, this is Amy with the Style Crush blog, and today I'm going to show you some basic embroidery. So first of all, we're going to start with our embroidery hoop, and we've got our fabric in there with a transfer design. That's one of my ice cream designs there. So we're going to go ahead and start with the floss and a needle. When you buy the floss at the craft store, it comes looking like this usually. This is a DMC floss, and there's a little number down here, so if you're doing a large project and you need the exact same color for some reason, that's the number that you go by. And on these little floss cards here, you can wrap your remaining floss around these and put your number up there so that you have it for later on. So I'm going to go ahead and start with about, you want about an arm's length of floss, and you want to go ahead and cut it. Now if you try to use too long a piece of floss, more than an arm's length, you're likely to get tangles or knots in your work, and that can be pretty frustrating. So I suggest going with about an arm's length. So now you've got 6 threads here as part of the strand of embroidery floss, and you may not always want to embroider with all 6 threads. It just depends on what sort of look you're going for. You can use as few as 1 strand, and you can use as much as 6. Or I guess you could even combine them if you like, and you can embroider with yarn if you prefer. So I'm going to just show you how to embroider with 3 strands. So basically you're going to need to separate this in half. Go ahead and figure out where your strands would separate, and it's a little tricky. You're going to go ahead and twist with one hand while you sort of separate the threads with the other, and then you just sort of move closer in to get those separated. The nice thing about using 3 strands is that since there's 6 total, you're splitting it right down the middle, and you can actually use both pieces in your work. So I've got 3 strands here, and I'm going to start out embroidering with those, and then when I run out of thread or floss, I can go ahead and embroider with this other piece here. So I'm going to go ahead and put that aside for now, and you're going to go ahead and thread your floss onto a needle, and you're going to leave a little bit of a tail hanging down there, and then rather than knot the end of the floss, you can knot the end of the floss if you want to, but if you don't want knots in the back of your embroidery work, for instance if you're embroidering something that you might want to wear, don't worry about putting a knot in the end. I'll show you how to weave the ends in. So we're going to start with a back stitch. So we have our embroidery hoop, and we're going to come up from behind the hoop with the needle, and we're going to kind of just pick a spot here and come up. Okay, and you're going to want to leave a bit of a tail at the back there of the thread if you're not going to do the knotting. And so what happens when you're finished with your embroidery, you go ahead and you can thread this onto a needle, and you'll kind of weave it into your embroidery stitches. So we'll go ahead and leave a little bit of a tail for now, and then go ahead and put the needle back through. And with the back stitch, you're actually coming up, and then you're going to go back down ahead of where you came up. So go back down. Okay, and so now you're going to come up and you're going to go back down right next to the previous stitch. Okay. Oops, and my thread just came off of my needle, so I'm going to have to re-thread it there. Okay. So again, you're going to just make a little bit of a gap after your previous stitch, and then you're going to come up and you're going to come back down as close to this previous stitch as possible. And actually you probably will even go back in the same hole. So here we go. And just keep going in this fashion until you finish stitching the area that you want to stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and show you a few more stitches, and then I'll show you how to end your embroidery. So there is a back stitch.